I sold my soul to the bottle. Still none of my friends have left me yet. I'm the same man I was since the age of 13, and I've lived my life with no regrets. If you're looking for some freedom, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum. If you're looking for rhyme or reason, all it takes is 10 drinks.
Oh man, it is the last party of the weekend. I'm your host, Chris Burnett. This is 10 drink minimum. Let me get a little more light on me, I think. I'm not lit up enough. That way I can show you the sponsored Topo Chico seltzer. That drink of the winter, I think is what they're calling it. That's what the kids That's what the kids on the street are saying. They're like, Chris, I like that Topo Chico. It's the drink of the winter. I think that's what I heard. Have you, Smiley? Have you heard that?
You know, that's what I heard as well.
Yeah.
I think the margarita flavors are what's all in fashion at the moment.
I saw some kids in an alley drinking one. I was like, man, it's really catching on. It's catching on. I didn't hand it to them, but, you know, they got it somewhere. We have a special guest. Pull that mic a little closer to you.
Oh.
There you go.
Hello.
We have a special guest with us in the studio today. We have artists. And then pull it down so it's not in your face. Well, here, hold on. Never mind. I got you.
Ah, here we go. A little bit.
Because the camera moves.
The camera itself also moves. Yeah. We use the technologies here. Well, I don't want it to go too high. There we go. Let's kick it down some. There we go. And then it went blurry.
Oh.
Thanks, camera.
And
it'll fix, maybe. No? There it goes. Cool.
Because we like to do all of our technical workouts once the show starts.
Yeah, that's
It's for you.
Welcome to the technical podcast.
yes, that's how we learn.
That's how we learn.
Yep.
That's how it goes. Welcome to the show.
Hello.
You watch this show.
Yes, I'm a big fan of the show. I usually watch it, about every week.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wow.
I enjoy it. It seems like a good time, so I was like, hey,
Yeah.
I want in on the good time.
Yeah. Here's what Smiley missed. I want to point this out, right? So your son Eddie, right?
Yeah.
He's dropping you off, right? And I go to the door, and Eddie's 17.
Yeah, he's gonna be 18 next month. So,
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like she's telling Eddie, she's like, all right, well, pick me up, and I was like, oh, he doesn't want to stay, and like Eddie's face lit up, and he goes, yeah, I want to stay,
Yeah,
and Stephanie's face kind of goes,
I don't know.
no, you pick me up, and then like it
Pick me
comes
up
back,
later.
she's like, mommy needs adult time.
Mommy needs some time alone here.
Yeah. I thought that was really funny,
Yeah.
and I didn't think of it.
Yeah.
I was like, because I talked to him for a little while. I met Eddie. I don't know, a couple months ago at
Bobby's.
little Bobby Tucker's house.
Yeah. I saw Bobby today. Yeah.
Oh, move over.
Oh,
that
sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
I saw Bobby today.
Yeah.
Our-
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
No, I'm kidding.
our kids are friends, and so we got to go to like a Halloween event together.
Oh,
nice.
really? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's funny because like I don't have children, and Smiley doesn't have children. So whenever people are talking about Halloween events, I'm like, oh, like a party or like
Right?
like
Are there bands
Yeah.
playing?
Are there bands playing? What
Yeah.
bands are playing this party?
And Night of the Living cover bands, though. That's a party.
Oh, last night was the final night.
Yep.
Did you go? You went?
Oh, I went
Yeah.
to 6 of the 8.
Oh, cool.
I only missed the 2 that when I was in Chicago.
Yeah.
And of course, everyone that did that night was like, "So you didn't see me play?" I'm like, even when I don't go to Chicago, I don't go to 8 of 8
Yeah.
Night of Living cover band. That's almost impossible. I mean,
Yeah. That would be a big commitment,
Yeah.
to be able to make everyone.
I went to 6 of the 8.
That's quite a bit.
And-
That's pretty
quite a
good.
bit.
In the second hour, I'll talk about some highlights that
yeah. Yeah, please do, because I missed it, unfortunately.
You didn't go to a single one.
No,
huh?
I usually go every year. Last year, I was in Little Bobby asked me to be
Oh,
on
yeah.
stage dancing around for.
Well, I took your place this year.
Oh, darn.
I did Ed Sullivan.
Oh, good. Did you have a good time with
I
that?
did, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. Duke City Warrior says hi. Hello to you.
Hey.
Hello to you.
Hello.
So you are an artist.
Yes.
Is art like your like? what is your, like, isn't art like your day job too, kind of?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I'm lucky enough that I average about 2 to 3 shows a month here in town.
Yeah.
So I'm busy.
Okay.
Thankfully busy. And
Okay.
yeah.
And one of the reasons you're here is because there's a painting of me.
Nice.
You want to hold it up? You want to hold it up?
Sure.
It's not the only reason here, but
Yeah.
But you
One
did,
of the main reasons.
You sent me a picture of it, and I was like, oh wow, let's see. Oh, wait.
Yeah, let's see if we can get a good.
There we go.
Ah,
There we go.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
like this is a picture of me, like painting of me, where I was at the Box Theater,
Cool.
and sitting in the throne there,
Yeah, big chair.
almost AAA cabaret.
Yeah.
Duke City War says that's a great painting. I agree.
Thanks.
I'm with you.
Yes.
I like
thank
it. And you were like, I need to drop it off. I was like, no, you need to bring it on the show. So this is the first time I'm seeing it in person.
Oh
In
yeah.
person.
And it is better in person than it was the pictures. So
Yeah, it has metallic colors in it
Yeah.
that you can pretty much only see in
Yeah.
person. You know?
now I got to figure out where I want to put it.
Oh yeah.
And I know what's going to happen. People are going to be like, really? You have a picture of yourself, a painting? I'll be like,
That's okay.
Yeah.
That's good. That's all good.
What's wrong with that?
You're picture worthy.
thank you.
Yes.
I have pictures of
definitely.
myself in my house.
Yeah.
Do you really?
Yeah.
Why not?
Well, I mean, a picture. Yeah, but yeah. Okay. I'll be like, well, a local artist, Stephanie Galloway, painted
Yes.
this for me. You know, she's
Some of my family's in it too, but there's still pictures of me, I like
Yeah.
to think.
yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
This is not the first painting someone's done. Someone did the Brody and Chris
Oh,
versus
yeah.
zombies.
Oh, I like. Yeah,
Mike Howland, he did that
I like that a lot.
because
It's
I
very
was
cool.
talking about it on Instagram and I saw a picture that someone had done and he's like, "Oh, I'll do that for you."
I think it's cool.
That one's
I saw
also
that.
fantastic.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so this is like more of me. Like I love it. Like I love the green pants and the shoes and the throne.
Yes.
And like I only wish I could have a beard that ZZ Topish,
Yes.
right?
You need to grow more. Grow it out more.
Well, actually, there's something to say about that. I've had a beard since I was in my 30s, and because like all through my 20s, I worked in restaurants,
okay.
and I don't nowadays. I guess you can have it, right?
I mean, as long as you're not in the kitchen, yeah.
Well, I was in the kitchen, so I never had a beard. I
Then
never.
you have to wear a little beard.
Yeah,
A hairnet.
A little
Right.
hairnet on your beard.
I was never allowed to have a beard in my 20s. So from my 30s on, I just kind of started wearing a beard, and I've never not gone without it. And then I gained a bunch of weight, and then of course I needed the beard because it covers up your turkey neck dewlap here, And I've decided that if I'm 210 pounds as of today.
Oh, congrats.
If I can get down below 200, I'll shave off my beard, and I might do it on the show.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Isn't there something called like No Shave November type thing?
There is.
I don't know. That's like, I think
So,
that's the thing about.
I don't think I'll be
beards
able to do it by just because I've kind of like plateaued a lot, so I have to do some work to actually get down below 200.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
But they're saying Duke City Warrior says my beard game is strong. Duke City Warrior says I avoid putting pictures of myself in my home. You shouldn't.
Yeah, you should.
Love yourself. Like
You gotta celebrate.
Yeah.
Celebrate who you are.
I feel like that's a lot of people though. They either hate the way they look, they don't want to have their pictures taken, or they don't want to hear themselves recorded.
Yeah, I think it reminds me of like people looking in the mirror.
Yeah.
They usually will do a quick glance to make sure they don't have like anything stuck in their teeth,
Right,
stuff
right.
like that, and then they're like, uncomfortable. But sometimes that's part of coming to comfort in your own skin.
Right.
Being able to look at yourself
Yeah.
as you are and accept and love that and celebrate that. So
Right.
this could be a part of that,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I was in Little Bobby's house and I saw the painting you did of Little Bobby.
Oh, yeah.
And I think we talked about it while we were there. And y'all, I'll paint one of you. And I thought you were kidding.
No.
And then you did. And I was like, oh, wow, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, how many people have you done this? I mean, like,
I've done recently a couple.
Okay.
Just because I wanted to mainly give them to friends as gifts, friends and family, just as a gesture. A gesture of
Right.
kindness.
yeah.
As far as art, I've been showing art in Albuquerque since 1995 that I moved here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Where did you move here from?
Santa Fe. Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, you're
Santa Fe.
you're one of those.
I'm
just kidding.
No, I kind of left as soon as I could. You know what I mean? Type
Formerly.
thing, so, yeah.
Yeah, I love it, like, because we were up. Where was I? I was in Santa Fe. I was doing the gig at Santa Fe Brewing, and these jazz musicians from Chicago were in there in the green room, and they're like, "Where are you guys from?" And it was me and the guys from Strange Magic, and they're like, "We're all from Albuquerque." And one of the guys goes, Albuquerque's, what's the difference between Albuquerque and Santa Fe? And all of us were like, a lot.
Yes. I think the main thing difference that I recognized immediately when I moved here is, diversity.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's a lot more diversity here in all, across the board.
Okay.
And
I agree.
And especially recently, I mean, I'm not ageist or anything, but like the age demographic in Santa Fe, there's not a lot for young people to do. Even when I was growing up there, it was like there was nothing to do.
It's like a rich older town.
Yeah.
It's like a retirement rich older town.
Yeah. So like as a teenager, I was like, what am I going to do here? There's it's like nothing to do. So I was like, okay, I should
And I love the Matador. The Matador is a cool bar.
Yeah.
I love Santa Fe Brewing. It's a cool place. But I mean, I'm with you. There's really not like the Lindsay is a cool place, but that's like, again, rich, old white people play. Not white people, rich old people thing.
Yeah.
I didn't start having fun in Santa Fe till I turned 30. And I was like, oh, now there are things for me to do here. I'm like, I want to go see that. And maybe I'll go to that museum. But before that, I'm like, oh, there's a new restaurant. Yeah. Before that, I couldn't afford to have fun in Santa Fe.
Oh, yeah. That's the other thing.
Yeah, you can't afford it. Yeah.
The finances, it's kind of expensive to live there. So it's like,
young people just can't afford to do anything.
No.
Oh, your job's not good enough yet.
Yeah. Right. Well, and I mean,
you can go to the Matador.
And it's an interesting, like, the difference between Albuquerque and Santa Fe. But the one thing I'll say that the Santa Fe does better than we do is show up for live bands. And I went like in a weird way. Like I show up, I went to go see the Heartless Bastards there because they were playing there, and I'm a huge fan. This is like my 6th time to see them. Mm-hmm. So I pay like the $30 for the ticket because that's what a normal ticket costs nowadays, which is fine. Drive up there, get there, and it fills up. A lot of people there. And like 4 different times, people were like, "Do you know what this band is like?" And I'm like, "You don't know? Like you just bought a ticket and showed up, and like that's how they are." And I don't know if that's like a lack of like things to do or what.
That's part of it, I think. And also like there's not a lot of options besides like in the evening, especially. Like there's a lot of day stuff to do in Santa Fe, like go to a gallery or something like that.
Sure.
But in the evenings, not a lot is open. Like it may feel like that in Albuquerque too, but especially if you've ever been to like a metro large city, but especially in Santa Fe, it's like once that clock hits 5, it's like there's nothing open.
I feel I feel like though in Albuquerque, we you have to. The weird thing about Albuquerque is it all is there. Everything you want to do, everything fun you want to do, you just have to know where it is.
Yep.
Because we do not advertise it. I mean, there's no good place that you can look.
Once the Alibi went under, you're like, well, I don't know how to find things anymore. I even just be in this one thing I could pick up anywhere.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't ever see that coming back.
Yeah, and there was also back when I moved here, though, there was a lot things staying open later. Like when I started going to college at UNM, the Frontier with a 24-hour restaurant. Although it was super crazy.
How many people did you murder over there?
I'm not gonna say. No, I'm just kidding. I'm joking.
You looked familiar.
But it was crazy after like a certain time at the Frontier. I could see why they closed it, but I heard it was over like insurance, because like if you have a business that stays open 24 hours, the insurance to like business insurance is like,
well, I'm sure it was the stabbings helped.
That might have been it.
With the insurance.
It was the insurance. It was probably the stabbings. It was probably the bad reputation, the bad press they're getting. Well, like I don't know if you listened to the show recently where somebody was like, "Did you hear about the Frontier?" And I was like, "No." And they're like, "It was on the news." And I was like, "Oh shit," because I'm from back in the day when you were back in the day.
Oh yeah.
So I'm thinking like it's gonna be fucked up, like some crazy shit's gonna, like the dude's gonna show me. He's like, "It was on the news. Watch, there's video of it." And it's like 2 guys, and like each one of them has their like crew of friends, and they get into like, it's middle of the day, Frontier. They kind of get into a little bit of a shoving match, and then the one guy points to the door, and he takes his shirt off, and they go outside to fight.
Okay.
And
like
that was
the 1950s?
And that was like the end of the video, and I was like, that's it?
Yeah, that's the only...
That's the fucking news? like no one was stabbed, no one was shot.
No.
Like this is the like they went outside and like fought like you should. If you're really going to get into a fight, you shouldn't fight.
Yeah.
But if you're going to fight, go outside and of course take your shirt off because that's what you have to do. That's proper protocol.
Yes.
And
you don't want to rip your shirt, man.
You don't want to rip. You don't want
People
to
heal, clothes don't.
No, you don't want to. You don't want to get blood on your
people
shirt
heal. Clothes don't. I like that, Smiley. And like I'm looking at this guy, I was like, this was on the news. Like I was like, you know what? Albuquerque's doing all right. If this is the crime we're having right now,
yeah. If that's the worst that's gonna happen,
People got in shoving matches.
Did we
frontier?
Did we relapse to the 50s? How dare you? I'll do best to take you outside, sir.
Yeah.
Give you a proper boxing of the ears. You know.
Yeah, but what I've noticed, like difference between when I first moved here in Albuquerque now, like a lot more smaller businesses are like not around, like local businesses. And like the first place business I ever went to when I moved to Albuquerque was Winnings.
Right.
And like I walked in there and I was like,
Arby's.
I love this place. It was like my second home because I'd always hang out there. But, you know, and just like Alphaville and Bow Wow Records.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I could go on and on with the list. Natural Sound. You
know,
all
let's talk about right now.
Oh,
Nob Hill, we've got O'Neill's. You've got Salt and Board. And then Slice Parlor, all closing down.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Marble Brewery sounds like, I mean, they're like trying to they're trying to like fight the press that they're closing. Mm-hmm. But again, we broke it on this show, and then it made it on the news the next day. I don't know if they follow this show, but that Marble was struggling and that they were supposed to close down. Then I was told again, they aren't producing any beer. Well, if they're not producing any beer, there's no life support. Then I heard last night another brewery shutting down. Not excited about it. Don't want to say the name just yet because they're friends of mine, and I don't want to. They told me, and but it's sad. It's like the city is over here like worried about how are we going to make downtown better. How about you worry about everything else? Yeah, like Nob Hill's fucking done, man.
No, I think
there's plenty of eateries up there. This is a weird blow though. Yeah. And Gecko, I mean, O'Neill's kind of already moved itself away from Nob Hill to begin with. Yeah, because it was right there in Nob Hill. And it's like we're gonna go farther away. Well, and now we're just gonna leave all together.
I think it's a combination of things going on, but part of it is, it's a trend of moving to more like corporate or non-local support businesses. And part of what creates that atmosphere is the cost of rents for businesses to operate.
Right, because no one can afford to be there.
But corporations can and chains can, which... that kind of takes the uniqueness and the local feeling that makes you unique as a city.
Exactly.
Is having a local experience. So I can go, for example, like I can go to anywhere in the United States and go to like a Chili's or like a whatever. But when you come to Albuquerque or whenever you go in America, don't you want to see what's like unique to that city? And you know, and I think that's part of it is like it's so expensive to operate a small local business. And the second part is a lot of people don't have as much expendable income as they used to, so they're not able to support in the ways that they were. You know?
Yeah. So. Well, I'm 100. Like, I'm glad you're here saying all these things because these are the things, and I know I say these things. Yeah. I say these things. I'm the champion of the small. Like, I don't want to go to fucking Chili's. No. I don't like Applebee's. I don't like all that shit, right? No. And you know what someone told me the other day? They're all, don't you want progress? And it was a good friend of mine.
And you went, yes?
No. Hold on, brother. All right. Because in the history of the world, anytime someone tells you this is for progress, it ain't never good. Mm-mm. You're Native American, son.
Yep. Yeah.
When they said we're moving west, they said it was for progress. Mm-hmm.
No.
when they
everyone's got their own idea of progress. Progress here would be more local businesses. That's progress.
but that's not what they want. So our friends are getting older. They're getting a little more comfortable. They have a little bit more money, and they want the neighborhood to be safe. And if that means shutting down all the historic like El Rey and this or whatever to build condos, well, I mean, if that makes the neighborhood safer, then I'm all for it. I heard that yesterday.
Wow.
It's called gentrification. It's
Fucking
the word
is.
for it. And I think not, of course, I hate to like generalize, but I think some of people that are transplant here that have recent come, a lot of them, they had a certain comfort of their, see, we're one of the few cities in America, a lot of cities have already fell to that no local flavor. Like every city looks the same.
Oh yeah,
and
I've
so
been
I
to
think,
Arizona.
So people maybe from other states, I'm not going to mention any, it's like a majority that are starting to move here, they want to see a place like their place. That's
Right.
a sense of comfort for them.
Sure.
What they don't understand is that sometimes when you come to a
Right.
place, you have to be respectful of the local culture,
Yes.
because otherwise you're being, on a light
but
level.
they don't. But a lot of them don't give a fuck. They don't give a shit.
Well, they just want comfort.
Yeah.
As far as they don't care about any.
Someone said it like correct. They were like, well, you have a place that's full of artists and it becomes cool. It's great for an area for a greed factor, because then sooner or later then it becomes the cool area, and then all the people with money move in, and then the artists move away, and then the landlords and everything make all this money off the cool factor of the neighborhood. And unfortunately that's where we are, and it's sad because in like, here's the comfort I take in it. So when my friend goes, oh well, don't you want progress anywhere that like it drives me crazy, but then someone goes, it's fine, because the cool people and the artists, we will always find an area and we will always find a place. And then that's when I went, you were right, but and it's sad we have to move around, and it's sad we have to do that, because our downtown, like, I hate the fact that everyone's like, the downtown area is not safe, it's awful, and I'm like, no. When I moved here, it wasn't fucking safe. It was a fucking hellhole. I saw fist fights. I saw fucking people beaten up.
Duck and cover.
And like people shot at. Nowadays, like they went outside to go fight at the frontier. Like that's what you do. Like it's much safer than it used to be. I'm not saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not growing. But then I heard this yesterday. Well, because I was talking about how they want downtown to be more family oriented, and they're all, well, that won't be at night. And I was like, well, no, and they do want it at night. They want it family oriented all the time. And I know you have children, but like for me, there's a lot of places for families in Albuquerque. We need places that aren't, because sometimes you want to go and be an adult.
Yeah. Well, I think that there needs to be a little of each for a city to be healthy.
Yes.
You need to have stuff that's for like the younger, for different age groups.
Right.
And you can't just cater over one group to the other. It's kind of a delicate balance.
Right.
Like we were discussing about Santa Fe. It's like, we don't want to become like that either, that it's just for older people.
Right.
So you got to have a healthy,
exactly,
healthy community. So community is a macrocosm of, other biodiversity.
Right.
And like, to have a community be healthy, you need to have a diverse thing, and not just have one type of business, one type of people.
Right.
You need to have diversity is the main word.
And that's really great. And I love that, what you're saying. And this was also said to me yesterday. They're like, well, if they make it family friendly and that makes it safer, then I'm all for it. And I said, why does it have to become family friendly to become safer? Why can't it just become safer?
Also,
why
can't
it be
cowards? Are they living in fear? This place is not that bad.
No, thank you. And so I love the word you said, community, because here's what I have to say, and I know I don't know everything. What I hate is they're like, well, the police can't do anything about the crime, and I find that fucking laughable, and I think it's bullshit. Let me tell you something. If you had police come downtown and you said, hey, you, and you, this is your area. This is where you patrol. We need you to patrol. Some of you to patrol on car. Some of you to patrol on foot. Some of you to patrol on bike, if you can. But we need you out and about and walking around. and become, this is where you work. This is where you show up to every day. This is your job. Your job is right here. And those police would become friends with the shop owners. Those police would become friends with the shelterless people that are out there. Mm-hmm. They would walk up and down the street. They would know what's going on, who's doing what, and what bad shit is happening. They would be integrated into the downtown area. They would have a stake in how things go because that's where they work at.
Well, okay.
Why can't that be a thing?
I think, for one, I think there should be such a thing as community policing. Back to that word, community.
Pull that microphone.
Oh, community. Because, okay,
exactly.
Nobody can police their community better than the people that live there.
Right.
Back in the 60s, the Black Panthers set a great model for that. They policed their own communities.
Right.
And because they came from there. And that's also what mutual aid is about, because they understand their own community's needs.
Right.
Okay. So what you were saying is, I can't generalize, but I don't think a majority of cops are living in the very communities
but at
they're
least,
policing.
Okay.
And I don't think cops actually all the time, I'm not going to generalize again, but they don't always create a safer situation.
Well, I'm with you.
Yeah.
But see, like he says, because a lot of cops can't afford to live where they be. I'm not saying they have to live here. So here's what, but I'm saying this is, when I say this, but like if the chief says, this is your job, this is where you show up to every day. When I go to work every day, where I work at, I try to make it as safe, as comfortable as I possibly can, because that's where I go to work every day. Now, the difference is, you have 3 cops that patrol the downtown area, know the downtown area, or 4. They know the downtown area, they know the shop owners, they know they have more stake in it than the cop that's like driving all over town and hates to go downtown on Friday and Saturday night because it's going to be fucking a shit show. Mm-hmm. But like, if you have, a cop that someone's like, hey, that's Charlie. Hey, Charlie, that's the dude over there that, pulled a gun. And then they're like, okay, they know what's actually going on. They're not just driving into every situation fresh. You know what I mean? Yeah, it's better than nothing.
Yes. And I don't know, though, that...
Talk at the microphone.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I don't know that they always make a situation safer.
In the sense
that if there's an atmosphere of fear and escalation that sometimes happens, people get on edge automatically, even when you're trying to like service the community. So, I feel like the people that understand their community best are the ones that live there.
I'm 100% like, you will not meet a person who dislikes the police as much as I do. You can ask Smiley. But recently,
it's shocking.
But recently, but here's the other thing too. When I see things that are done correctly or better, I'm also going to say it, because so recently there was an individual across the street violently punching the pole, like a metal pole, and stomping on, and there's a park across the street from me, a beautiful park. And so when someone's like destroying the stuff over there, I definitely am going to call and try to have something done, because I don't want the park destroyed. And when the police came, and of course they brought too many, they brought 6, and 4 of them had shotguns, and they moved in formation. But when I say 6, one of them wasn't a cop. One of them was a social worker. One of them was a social worker that we know. I mean, I think you know them. Yeah. I know you know them. And they rolled up with the police and the police let them speak to the individual. And I was like, okay, I think that's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, I think, isn't there a non-emergency thing with the city?
It's worthless.
Where you don't call the cops, because that would probably be the better option. But
if it worked, it would be great, but worthless.
Yeah, you
have to literally say certain things, like they might be I see them lighting a fire, or they're gonna shoot themselves or something, and then they'll come out. But I'm not saying what the cops did was perfect, but they brought a social worker with them, and I was like, oh, okay.
Chris, would you call that progress?
son of a bitch. I'll punch you right in the mouth.
Oh my gosh, Smiley, are you?
And then there was an individual behind my house camping, and they were lighting things on fire. So I had to call because I was like, I don't want them to burn my house to the ground. Mm-hmm. And a police officer came, and I went outside so I could also be out there because I was more afraid of what the police officer was going to do to the individual.
Yes, and
speaking to what you were saying,
cops out, cameras out,
and the police officer was like talking to them. They were like, "Hey, I have several pamphlets with information of people that can help you. Let me give this to you." And they were talking, and they were not like I was like, I don't know what they're doing, but they're doing some things that aren't, because like back in the day, they'd be like, I'm gonna fuck this person up, and you might shoot them.
Yeah,
you know.
Automatically too. There's also an atmosphere of trauma. People have a lot of trauma around like police situations. So I think some of the solutions to those issues, there is community organizations that can, like within the communities, that like Albuquerque Mutual Aid, those kind of grassroots organizations that are local, that understand the needs of the community best. And I think this whole the situation is it's a very deep systemic issue with unsheltered people, and a lot of it has to do with a lack of support networks in the community for those individuals.
And it's everywhere.
If they have
everywhere.
Those, but a lot of times that all is the root thing, of capitalism, but I could go on and on about that.
Sadly, like I've traveled a lot recently. Everywhere I go, it's an issue that is like,
that's because we're experiencing a housing crisis in this country where nobody can afford to either buy a home or even nowadays rent a home, especially in Albuquerque. Rent costs raised by like I think it was, don't quote me, but like 52% in the last year.
No, it was a lot. It was a lot.
Something, and it's like even people that have had a house, like they're like, oh, all of a sudden some landlords will say, oh, your rent is $200 higher because I can get that much.
200. It was like my friend, his went up $1,000.
Yeah, so I mean, who can afford those kind of?
It's getting crazy.
Increase, so
it's getting to the point you need to like hire someone to like drive by your house and shoot it just to bring down your property value.
Yeah.
Excuse me, am I going to pay more rent for this? My house just got shut up.
Yeah. So switching gears, because I feel like totally. And I the problem is I can talk about that whole thing. I can do podcasts, but like, so when did you start doing art?
Oh well, I was very little because I am on the autism spectrum, and it was a way for me like to connect with people because I wasn't always socially comfortable, believe it or not.
Right.
I like had trouble like initiating like social interactions.
Okay.
So art was like a way to like express myself, that I could like be, hey, look at this drawing I did, or even just show it to somebody and it'd be like a conversation starter almost.
Right.
So I'd just be like, okay, this is a way I can like communicate when I feel uncomfortable, just like, talking in general.
Interesting.
So wow, it's like I've done it since like I can remember, as small as I can remember.
Right.
And then I thought to myself, I really got into, speaking of community, like wanting to connect with other artists as I got older, and was like figuring out, hey, there's other people that express themselves this way, and, I can like connect with them. So,
Duke City Warrior says I could struggle with social interactions as well.
Oh yeah.
I think as we go, we evolve as a society. I wasn't going to say the word you today, Smiley. We find that, like,
I'm a big fan of the dictionary. I like to use the words literally as opposed to just work on their connotations.
Okay. But as we evolve as a society, we find that a lot of people have these same issues.
Yeah.
And a lot of those people, like I feel like the expression needs to get out there. And one way or another, we find a way,
Yeah, and when you find like your niche, as they say, something you feel comfort in, it's like your comfort, and you feel comfortable like in that kind of atmosphere. So like I felt comfortable talking about my art with other artists, and like, and it just helped me feel like I belonged somewhere.
Right.
And I even like played music for a while too. I enjoyed that. that was another way of community. And in fact, like I saw comparisons when I was in the music community here as opposed to the visual art community.
Right.
There was like differences in them, but they both were very supportive in their own ways at the time. But yeah, so that's how I met a lot of older time musicians, like, you know, like Little Bobby and them from the old days. I should say old, but
back in the day.
Yeah, the circle was a lot smaller, I think, so like people all knew each other, because I only played for like 3 or 4 years, but I met like almost every band that was playing at that time, and they all were like family right away. Almost instantly they were like, "Oh, I know you," and I was like, "Oh, you do? I just played once," and you know. So,
well, it always interests me. Music is something that I've always been enamored by, and actually like visual art as well. And it always shocks people when they find that out. Like, I'll go to galleries and I like to look at paintings, and I like to actually like sit and stare at the paintings. I kind of wish we would have had a little bit of time in Chicago, because Chicago has the what is it, the
Art Institute.
Yeah.
Really
we did get to see. I've been around all that stuff before, but we didn't have time with I would have taken Smiley. He probably
we were on a tight schedule.
Very tight schedule.
The one thing that I want to do out there that we did was which was awesome. We took the L train.
Yes,
I was like, I want to take the L train.
I used to live in Milwaukee for 4 years. I lived there, and I used to go to Chicago almost every weekend.
Oh, cool!
Because it takes on the train that goes from Milwaukee to Chicago. It only takes like an hour and a half.
Nice.
And so I just go there just to gallery cruise. But I learned my lesson. The first time I went there, we drove, and I couldn't find a parking in Chicago, and you have to pay so much money.
Oh yeah.
So I was like, why not just take the train next time?
Yep.
It's just like, we need public transportation like that everywhere.
Oh yeah.
That's what I do with Santa Fe.
Yeah.
Like, where are you going to park? Just take the train up.
Yeah. So that's another thing. I wish like public trans was like a regular thing at most places.
Oh yeah.
You know?
Like I would fight tooth and nail to have better. Like I think the city needs to have like a rail that goes around in a circle around the outside of the city, you know, and then like if you want to like drive down, you could take the art bus down to Coors, get on the train, take it over to the east side, take it over to the west side, whichever direction, you know. And
the original plan for that was going to be a corridor on Central on a corridor on San Mateo.
Yeah, I just feel like that's still not enough for everyone around. I mean, if you live on the west side, like you live off of like Unser, how are you going to get to it? I mean, I guess you could take a bus to it, but
to be fair, that proposal was written by a bunch of 17-year-olds.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, the bus routes here in Albuquerque, for one, there's not outside of the main drags. There's not a lot of routes that cover. Plus, I read something that the city the number of drivers the same was during the pandemic. They have not beefed up the amount of drivers.
Right.
So that really leaves kind of a shortage.
Oh, for the art bus?
For any of the buses, any drivers.
Yeah.
So like there's like a driver shortage, but they recently are able to do a program where they can get their CDL through the city and on the city grounds. Because you used to have to go through like different channels, but now they have their own in-house.
And it was difficult. Like, they probably made it way difficult to get.
So now it's so hopefully they get more drivers.
That's good.
Well, I mean, the main problem with it was on the secondary routes was time.
Oh yeah.
Like if you were there in time for the bus, that's great, but the next bus doesn't come for an hour.
Yep.
Well, that's the thing. Like people, I fucking hate how much people shit on the art bus. Not actually literally like shit on it, but like talk trash about it. Like all these places are closing in Nob Hill, and everybody's like, "Oh, it's the art bus." First of all, the art bus has been around for like 3 or 4 years now.
Yeah.
And if a business is closing because of the art bus, I mean, then that's ridiculous, because it's been around.
It's been a while.
It's been a while.
When businesses were closing down because of construction, that was one thing, because it really did. It shut down the whole street.
It did, and
but
I mean,
after that, and it got more people in the area.
That's what they call progress, Smiley.
I know.
Yeah.
But
keep saying it like it's a
but people keep
word,
saying that, and I'm like, no, you're wrong. And then like you what was it? The Rapid Ride. Rapid Ride was like 45 minutes between. Right.
Oh yeah. That was the precursor to the ART project. Was
so now dude, I've seen like I remember one time we were sitting in Boise when it existed downtown, and we were timing the buses, and they were getting to the stops in like every 11 minutes.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, I got the bubble. And I always forget that happens. Like there's a little thing like
your thumbs up.
Let's see if it does it again. Yeah. And if you do two, it'll do like
two
do like
thumbs.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, fireworks.
Huzzah!
But like I like whenever I saw the O'Neill's thing, I looked at the Facebook thing and like, oh, it's because of this art. And I'm like, it's not. Last time I ate at O'Neill's, the food was so atrocious. I was like, I'm not coming back. And then there we are.
The final straw was that they just raised the rent there, and he was like, "I'm not going to."
Yeah, see, I think it's more of a rent issue too.
Yeah,
and I like them because they supported local artists. In fact, I've had a show there once a year for the past 3-4 years. In fact, I was due for a show there in December. Yeah, so I'm a little sad about that.
But I think that mine and your argument go to the same.
Yeah.
No, I think they go the same because like they raise the rent.
Yeah.
So then where do they cut the cost? With the food. And then it's over. Yeah. It's over at that point. Because then they're like, they have to cut staff. They have to cut the food because they can't afford the rent. Then people come in and they go, the cheese is not as good as it used to be. That's how shit goes. That's literally how it goes. Because I've worked in restaurants a lot.
Yeah.
And when they come in and they like all of a sudden like the food, not only did the food cost become a major issue, they're like, well, you need the portion sizes start getting lower, and then the food quality change. Like they order a different cheese and a different, from a different butcher. Then you're like, I should probably get my resume in order, Yep.
Because it's at that point, it's not consistent. Yeah. So you're like, it's not what you're used to, having. And
sadly.
And that's what you want when you go to a restaurant. You're like, I want the thing that I had yesterday.
Yep. Yeah.
I want it to be that way.
You know, we need to open back up though in this town. I might be old fashioned saying this, but like record stores, because they were like a whole experience. Sorry, but like arcades were the same way. Like video games just aren't the same as arcades. As like in the music shops, you could like listen to a album ahead of time,
right?
You see if you liked it and didn't just buy it for the one song, and then you'd meet somebody and start talking about music. Like our mutual friend Marty, like I made friends with him at a record store where he was working, and so like I made a lot of friendships through like record stores and stuff. And like I said, somebody on the spectrum to like have outlets to be able to like go meet people that you feel comfortable in or have something to talk about, because like music is a passion, and then so you could talk about people with people at a music store with mutual passion. What I'm trying to think too of, what was the name of that record store in Nob Hill that was near that place with the Scotty dog sign? It was right next to, it's like this that tapes.
When I was a teenager, there was Natural Sound, Bow Wow, and We Buy Music.
We Buy Music, but then there was another one.
There was four?
I forget the name of it though. It was like right by that place that used to be a grooming place with the Scotty dog neon sign. So
we
used to have like 3 or 4 of them.
Well, I mean, we need those. We need skate shops. We need all these places that are not only that
I completely agree with you, because I still buy CDs and it is just not the same online. I'm like, I don't know if I like this album. Well, no one's telling me about it. It's just a list of
wait. I buy a CD online. I don't know any of the. You can literally go and listen to the whole album.
Yeah.
And then you can go on and read reviews of it.
Yeah, but it's a physical experience.
I could go to a record shop where someone's already seen it or like listen to it and they can just tell me.
I feel like what you guys are talking about, and like I'm agreeing with you. Like I think, because like I like skate shops, I like arcades, I like record shops, because that's where community happens.
Yeah. So
coffee houses.
Yes.
We don't need any more coffee houses downtown, by the way.
No. Like meeting spaces, more. Those are more community centered.
Right.
And like you could, like a record shop, yes, you could go in and it was kind of expected you buy something.
Right.
But there wasn't so much pressure. Like if you you can't just go into a restaurant and hang out.
Oh,
Do you know what I mean?
People do.
Well, they try that. Like they'll order a coffee and like write it all day, which is fine. But like I think it was more acceptable in a record shop to just go, especially when they have those listening stations, to just go and
Austin Farrar says, loving the board game bars popping up. I think that's also a great idea. Some of them, like I went to one, some of them can get a little pricey. Yeah. And I get that, but like I do like the board game place, like Empire.
Oh,
I think,
yes, I like that.
Intons, I think, is the other one.
There's some places too, like there's Etten Games.
Ettens, that's
where
what's
you
called.
can go play, and like you don't really have to buy anything, and they have free games there to like just go hang out and you meet people.
That's where I hang out outside so I can beat up all the nerds. I'm just kidding. I don't do that. I'm kidding.
We're all grown up now. Chris might give you a run for your money.
Nerds.
Yes. Or even comic book shops are fun to hang out at.
Carlos Jose Rafael Garcia says Old Town Hobbies and Games is fun.
Oh, yeah, I've been there. That's a cool place. I like it, too.
So, getting back to the art part of it. No, don't. Yeah, it's fine. We're a show of tangents. You listen to this show. So, when you make art, like, what draws you towards making, like, things?
Well,
what is your process?
Well, I think I have a form of synesthesia. You know what that is?
No idea.
That's where when you hear your senses, how they're wired, get crossed between hearing and visual.
Okay.
So when you hear things, sometimes you get colors coming. I don't know. That might sound strange to you.
Brian Wilson had some shit like that.
Yes, they're finding out a lot of visual artists experience that. So like when I put on music, like when I'm creating, I usually have music going, and it automatically like creates images and thoughts of colors in the process. There's a local artist, Reyes Padilla, that does the same. He has the same thing where like he listens to music and it kind of starts the whole thing flowing.
Yeah.
So I kind of music. That's why I think I also got into playing music too, because I think it was already a natural progression. Because I always.
But then you get like a visual stimulation from it as well.
Yeah, I always have music going on when I'm painting.
Okay.
So it's like, okay, then maybe I should try doing music stuff,
Austin Farrar says, I totally have synesthesia.
Yeah.
Too. A lot of us artists do.
Yeah. They're finding out that a lot of artists share that just has something with how you process things. You're just a stimulation and information.
What I love about art, and it's taken me a long time to get to this, is that there isn't and there shouldn't be a definition of what it is.
I like that too.
You know what I mean? And someone's like, well, of course there is. Well, I mean, maybe. I mean, that's the thing. Like art to you it may not be art to me, and vice versa. And, which is always weird to me when they put numbers on it.
Yeah.
Like prices.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing too.
It's such an odd thing.
What drew me to art too is that there's not like you don't label it as good or bad. I think it's just what it is. And there's not very many things that are face value like that anymore that you just do for the sake.
Right.
You know what I mean? A lot of times it's done with like either monetary motivation, and plus also there's not the judgment there,
Right.
I made art, like that's a part of a person. What are you going to say? Oh, your eyes don't look good, or your eyes don't look right on a person, or whatever. No, because that's just how you see the world. And putting a judgment on that is just wrong, It's like you can't put a judgment on that.
I agree.
So I like atmospheres that are like that you accept things for what they are.
I feel like that a thing that's going to be interesting to see is that like the older generation, my parents, that the greatest generation over there, I feel like one of the issues that they have dealt with that I may or may not have has been delved into, but like I've kind of like watched it because as my parents retired, you had a lot of people of that generation that their job was their life.
Yeah.
Their career was them. It defined them as people. And like you would hear these stories where like well, he retired and he was dead in a year. Had nothing to live for, you know? And it's so weird to me. And like growing up, like being an artist was so frowned upon in the worlds that I like flowed through. Because, you know, how are you going to make a living?
Yeah, it's all about job and monetization.
And then, well, that's what artists do. You're not an artist. You're not good at it, you know? And I feel like from my generation down, you don't have to be, it doesn't have to be your job to make art.
Yeah.
And it's okay if it sucks. And it may suck to you, but it may not suck to other people. And it's one of those things where it's like, it's okay to do this. It's a great outlet, you know? And watching like, you know, my father like retire and like just have nothing to like, you know, except watching TV all day. And it's like, man, if only he had some sort of outlet that he could do. And art is like, you know, and like growing up, there was always like these weird things that like they would do, like the rug art and like, you know, that they would sell and like people would make, and you go to these art and craft shows that like, you know, you don't really see as much anymore, but like art has become more of a thing that it's okay to just do, and you don't have to sell it, and it doesn't have to be fucking a money making thing.
No, and I think also it's a way, it's a healthy way, it's a healthy coping mechanism.
Yes.
It's healthy to express yourself, and it just creates a healthy person and community in general, being able to have, and you know, hobbies, speaking of hobbies.
Right.
And I think that's like, I don't know if it's just in America.
Do you like the word hobby?
You know, I like hobby, and I think because it just gets a bad rap.
It does, yeah.
And I think it's an important thing for people to have. And I think in particular men, you're talking about the nerd thing.
Right.
Like, it's like some women, when they're looking at men that have the classic nerd hobbies, are like, he's too nerdy
I was
whatever.
kidding, by the way.
You know, I know, but like with the judgment, and I think it's really healthy.
Were you?
I think it's really healthy, you know, for even men to have a hobby.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, and I think that should be encouraged.
You should see all the miniatures I've painted.
I've been
That's
called.
cool. I'd love to see those.
I've had women tell me I have Peter Pan syndrome. I've had people tell me, when are you going to grow up? And then it's really funny because like that was like 10, 15 years ago. And now they're all like, you know, oh, wow. You know, like, da-da. Like I watched this whole thing where you know, people that I went to college with, people of my generation would latch on. Like, it's weird. Like, I love sociology, and I love watching people, and I love watching trends. There was this whole trend for a while where everybody would like run marathons. And there was all these different marathons you could run. There was a zombie one. There was one where you threw powdered color all over yourself and everything. And it became, and it was like this whole like, I don't know what my personality is. Oh, what I'm this. And it's like really interesting to watch. And now you're starting to see like people that are just like, I like to see people when they like just let go. Just do it. Just do the thing you want to do. Like, have your day job like I do. Yeah. And just go. Other than that, just go. Yeah. Like, people all the time stop me and they're like, hey, I've been watching you on social media. You're all over the place. And I'm like, yeah, I'm just fucking letting go. Just doing it.
One thing of several things I admire about you is that you have things that you do outside your, what they call, you know, the day job, that you know, that you have an interest in, that you're not afraid or ashamed to like show you're interested in. That makes you a three-dimensional person. Yes. We're not
a well-rounded individual.
Yeah, because like you said, if people ever have to retire or something happens, that's another sad thing. Like, if people ever lose their jobs, it's like such a crisis for them, not just the money thing, because we don't know where money's coming from, but it so defines in our society who we are, you know, that they feel like they're nobody just because they lost their job or have to change a job or look for a job. You know, you're still a person.
I've never gotten that, but I've seen it before so often. Like, anytime you go to like a new party, they're like, oh, what do you do? And
exactly. Like, I was just about to say that. Like, the first thing people will say is, this is Chris. this, and this is what he does. Yeah. And like, or people will meet you and they're like, hi, I'm blah, blah. And you're, so what do you do? And I hate that. I always go, oh, I do a lot of things.
Yeah.
Because like, oh, do you mean what job do I currently have that doesn't define me as who I am? Mm-hmm. Well, I do this. I don't know why that's important, but to some people, it's to show them whether you're worth talking to or not, which is terrible. Mm-hmm. But I'm with Smiley, and I hate that.
It's a terrible question.
It's a terrible question.
Yeah, I don't like that.
My response is always, well, today I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not what I was asking. I know what you were asking, but I thought it was a terrible question.
But it's a stupid thing. It's a stupid thing to ask, because I personally don't like if someone's like, well, you know what I do. I'm like, I don't really care.
You know what I like as a conversation starter sometime instead of that? So it's about like substituting that. I'm like, what brings you joy?
That's a good one.
What do you
I enjoy
like
that, yeah.
What brings you joy? What do you enjoy doing? And sometimes that's may not always usually be the job you do to make money. So it's like something different, you know?
Right. Someone asked a question. They said, your fashion style reminds me of Decora.
Oh.
Are you familiar with that style?
No. I'm not familiar with that. I'm gonna have to look that up. Sounds I mainly do what's called dopamine dressing. Have you ever heard of that? It's when you dress in bright colors or exciting things to like boost your dopamine.
Right.
Like if you're feeling sad on the inside or something, sometimes if you see a bright color are able to do a cheerful thing, it like boosts your dopamine, you know?
Yeah. George Edgar Vernon Jr. says, love this conversation. Do what makes you happy. Absolutely. Unless it harms other people. Then
that's the line I draw. Yeah. Like, whatever brings you joy, as long as it's not hurting anyone, you're fine. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be afraid of it or be embarrassed.
Right.
If punching things makes you happy, use a bag.
Use a punching bag, right?
We'll do it, or do MMA,
or if you like to wrestle,
with
do
other
the
people
Duke
that
City
like,
wrestling thing.
Damn right. Damn straight. Speaking of that, well, we're going to take a break here.
Oh, yeah.
So, Stephanie, people can go to this at the Stephanie Galloway. That's your Instagram. Do you have any shows coming up?
Yes, I actually have 3.
Okay.
I have a solo show at a place called OT Circus.
Oh,
it's
love
near
that
the
place.
old Firestone area. And I also have a show at the place called the Orpheum.
Oh.
It's, do you know where HomeWise is? It's kind of near Flyby for Revisions.
I do.
It's down the street from it.
I do.
And that is a multi-sensory show. So you can touch, listen, and smell the art. So the closing is going to be Friday night from 5 to 8. And and then I'm going to be, Artisans in Nob Hill? They have a gallery in the basement, and they're gonna have an astrology themed show in November, and I have a piece in that too.
Oh wow.
Sick. Nice. Do you have anything else you want to promote?
For now, those are what I got.
Okay. Smiley, what do you got going on?
Nothing currently. This is my we've come into my slow season where I don't even try to find my extra stuff.
Smiley, you need to wake up, man. You need to get out there and you need to do some shit.
You know what? I just barely recovered from Chicago.
I know. I don't think you were ready for that trip. I was ready, but I've been with Ming before.
I was ready. There was like one thing I missed, but I was ready for the trip. I wasn't ready for coming directly back to work after the trip.
Oh yeah. I wasn't ready for that either.
Yeah.
So I have a couple things coming up.
Oh yeah.
Alrighty.
Tell us about it.
So November 9th, I have the Almost AAA Cabaret, the triumphant return of me. Tate Fletcher, I heard, filled in for me, the guy from the Mandalorian, whatever that is. Jumanji, never really seen it. Anyway, the guy from those, projects, if you've heard of those, he filled in for me because that's what they needed, is some guy that's in TV and movies to fill in for me. I'm sure he did well, but I'm returning, so I will be there to judge those that need to be judged. It's a cabaret show. It's fantastic. It's one of my favorite things to do. Then on Thursday, November 21st, it is the night before Thanksgiving. Your cousin Tommy's in town. Don't know what to do. Rio Rancho Event Center, Duke City Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
We didn't do one in October because there was too many things going on because this month is nuts.
Yep.
Come out and watch the show. It's not going to be our permanent location. We're just doing it there because the El Rey has events going on. So we'll be back at the El Rey. Don't worry. Don't you worry. We were flying back from Chicago, and a kid on the plane grabbed my arm, asked smiling, and he's like, "Thank you for starting Duke City Championship Wrestling." And I was like, "Aw,
that's sweet."
It's always nice flying back to Albuquerque because everyone that's going there, it's probably lives there.
Right.
And like, hey, we know you guys. What are you guys doing on the plane? Coming back home, obviously.
Oh, that's cute.
And then George Edgar Vernon Jr. says, also November 9th, the Wu-Tang Dunks are dropping. I saw some previews of those, the Nike Dunks.
Oh, yes.
The Wu-Tang. And just so everyone knows, Wu-Tang is for the children, and it's forever. So never forget that. Yeah. We'll be back here in a little while with Stephanie Galloway and the painting she did of me. Yeah. We should show that again. There it is. It's going to go up here in the studio.
Little Chris.
There's little Chris up there.
Oh, there's so many little Chris's around.
So many little Chris's. New little Chris, yeah. But we're going to take a break. We'll be right back. We are 10 drink minimum.
Sleep in your cozy little bed, don't feel the sheets. Somebody call, don't be afraid. I'm feeling shadows speak, but they ain't breathing. They're deceiving you. Oh, creaks even when there's no one around. Oh, oh, and seconds drop, feel it keep you down. You wait another day to hit the ground. Explore again. and we try. Curtain, shine a spotlight on the forehead. You absorb the sweat. Tired the voices to the stigma you created, motivated in your head. And I know the floor creaks even with there's no one around. Floor creaks even with there's no one around. Under control, keep you down. Did you wait another day to hit the ground? Explore here. It will be the season, and we try. Under control. Did you feel it keep you down? Did you wait another day to hit the ground? Another explore here. Will be the season, and we try. Supposed to live without you. Here we are, the play is on. Me without you. Volunteer I stand. I'm speaking wishes for the days they could be better. Don't feel right. I swear the world's fun and I want to say both of us. How do we do that? Take a breath. I'm back to my signal. You started. But then next to your seat, chasing on. Wasn't there? Your face is what I see. I've got time to buy you. Walk to the corner of the shed. Your pocket's time to nobody. There's no use to volunteer to stand. I'm speaking of wishes, boy, things they could be better. Don't you see that? I'm just waiting. The words about and I want it. The same proportion for us. What could be better? I can be too right. To the best song, I'm back to birds and I'm just starting. My days next to your skin. Chase on, chase on. Do you hear that sound? It's the sound of you taking me down. Your eyes are gone, that look is mine. That was sad, for us to ride. For a child, it's lost the body. It's just the same, let's all me a kind of ghosts floating in the rays of mind and mind. We're bad set for a certain kind of time machine to take me to the top of one we met. Chase it on. You hear that sound? It's the sound of you taking me back. Your eyes say no, that look is mine. The back says, boy, that's alright. No guess. Come on, child, let's slide to what we had.
I sold my soul to the bottle. Still none of my friends have left me yet. I'm the same man I was since the age of 13, and I've lived my life with no regrets. If you're looking for some freedom, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum. If you're looking for rhyme or reason, all it takes is 10 drinks minimum.
All right, we're back with the Billy / Wavy Hour. You're watching 10 Drink Minimum. I'm your host, Chris Burnett. This show is sponsored by the Topo Chico Seltzer. It's the best seltzer on the streets, I'm hearing.
That's what I hear. Word on the street.
Word on the streets. Smiley is here.
I am here as well.
And we have local artist Stephanie Galloway in the studio with us. Thank you for sitting in with us.
Oh yeah, I love it.
All right. So I want to promote for next week. Sorry, real quick.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So on next week's show, some things are happening. I don't normally do this, do I? So we're bringing back, by popular demand, super agent Carissa Mitchell.
Oh wow!
And we're gonna do two things here. If you go in and you're not a follower of our 10 Drink Minimum Underground Facebook group, go in there. If you have questions for Carissa Mitchell, super agent, put them in there, and we're going to ask them on this show. That's one of the things. And if you don't have Facebook, you can I don't know, message Instagram, either one of the Instagram accounts. I'll see them. Or what's the not Twitter, but the other one, Threads. If you have Threads, you want to do it on Threads, it's fine. We're going to do that. The other thing we're going to do is Carissa is going to interview Smiley.
Wait, what?
As a potential client of hers. Yep.
Oh, wow.
Yep, that's happening, and that's going to happen. Hey, Brody, Brody doesn't get to get interviewed. Brody. Hey.
We're on air.
Yeah, Brody, we're on the air. Mics are live. They're hot. But what do you think of that, Smiley?
Oh, I get to learn something about Smiley there.
Well, yeah, no, we don't do that very often.
No,
we're gonna
never done it.
Going to be a Smiley centric show. I think we've only done.
Well, I don't know if it's Smiley centric.
Sounds like it to me.
Oh, wow, it's going to happen. I mean, I think like one of the things, and this ties into the art thing, right? Mm-hmm. I think one of the hardest things artists deal with is promoting themselves.
Yes,
is getting their name out there, because number one, you don't want to sound arrogant, and like everyone's like, well, I don't want to bother people by like over promoting myself, and I don't want to bother people by being bothersome.
Does this mean I have to remember all the things I worked on?
No, I don't know. Fuck, I don't know, dude. I don't know what it's like to have an agent.
Neither do I, honestly.
Yeah.
I've been doing this agent free for the whole time, and I would like some
guidance.
I
think this will be kind of helpful, because we have a lot of friends that are actors. We have a lot of friends that are musicians. A lot of people that are artists that because I remember when I was younger, and you would always see oh, TLC had the #1 album in the world, and they were bankrupt because they signed such a bad deal, and they're like, oh, someone's representation stole all their money, and I was like, man, why do people need why do they do this? Why do they get these agent people? Then I met all my friends that are like musicians, and then I saw how they handled their business part of their endeavors, and I went, okay, I see it now. Because not everybody, because it's two different things.
It's very much two. It's like, yeah, it's like
two different worlds.
It's having like 3 jobs, booking working as an actor, it's booking yourself.
Yeah.
It's getting yourself. It's promoting yourself. Like I have 3 jobs. I am my legal counsel and my PR and my agent. And then when I actually get the job, I have to go there and act.
So this is like some people's chance. Like you can get some, if you were like, hey, I would like some advice on this to further where I'm going, you can ask that, and we'll ask Carissa next Sunday on the show.
Oh, that could be very helpful for a lot of people, because also sometimes you just don't know how to do that. You don't have the skill for that.
Right.
Because sometimes
or the connections.
It is a special skill to be able to, promote yourself, make connections, do all that stuff. So it's
and the reason why these people exist is they're the advocate for you.
Yep.
Like someone's like, I always joke with Carissa, about her being my agent. And someone's like, well, what would she do for you? And I'm like, that's the thing. She would find things for me that I don't really realize I could do. And she could be like, hey, I found this thing. I think it's in your wheelhouse. Boom, here you go. That's why I would want it.
Plus, they might see things that you just don't know about.
Right.
They have different connections.
Well,
different connections.
So even if you are a connected type person,
Right.
they have different types of connections that you may not have.
Right.
Yeah, wouldn't even think about.
Exactly.
I mean, because walking into an industry with no information
Yeah.
is what I did, and I just learned it as I went along.
And she has an office here and in LA. So I mean, it's not like Carissa's just like I'm an agent. No, she really is. She really is an agent. Like she has a lot of clients that are in a lot of movies and TV shows. She's as legitimate as it comes.
Yeah.
And so it's going to be kind of cool. I think it's pretty dope. Loved having her back. I mean, people kind of like, they love that episode.
Yeah.
And I feel like we did not get to talk about as much as we have, like kind of like what we're, where we're running to here. I feel like, we get off on these like great topics and people love them. And I'm like, man, so many more things. But that's what I love about this show is we can bring people back. Mm-hmm. Like I was talking to Crystal Sims last night, Evolution Body Piercing.
Oh, yeah.
She was like, I really enjoyed being on the podcast. And she goes, now that it's been a while. She's like, there's so many things I would have done differently. And I was like, oh man, it sucks. You don't know the people, so you could just go back on and do those things. And she laughed. She goes, well, would you let me? I was like, of course I would let you. Let's talk about it and book it. It's super easy.
There's something about being on camera too that like sometimes your brain is in a different mode, and then so like you're off camera, and then you're like you said, you're like, oh darn, I should have talked about this.
And I'm like, here's the deal. And I told her, I said, especially if you have some event coming up, if you give me enough time, and because sometimes this show gets booked up pretty quick, and if you give me enough time, you let me know where the event is, I can book you right before it, and it would help to promote whatever you're doing. And she's like, really? She's like, okay, well, when an event's coming up, we'll do it again. I said, for sure. Love, I'm more than happy to do that for people that I number one, I love, like, and number two, I find interesting, because if I find them interesting, I think other people do as well. So, but like Stephanie Galloway, right here.
Yeah. So, back to also like venues and outlets for like creative endeavors.
Yeah.
I think it's important too to have like those spaces where they're like welcoming and also inclusive. So like to get back to that, like I know for a business model too, some galleries like have to be, jury, that type thing. And they're like business owners, and they like should be able to choose like what goes on their walls, like technically.
Sure.
But then we also need like, there's a place called Off Center here in town that like is open to all the community. But I think even those galleries that are like exclusive, occasionally for like the community to have more like open calls, you know what I mean? To like just open up to people that aren't, in their sphere. Because like you talk about, because a lot of that then gets very cliquish.
I thought that wasn't that like what First Fridays was about. Wasn't that like an open like artist call originally?
Yeah, it used to be. Well, Art Walk has kind of evolved in different ways. Like it used to be like anybody could set up to vend.
Yeah,
outdoors.
I remember
but then the city took that away for a while. They said you had to have under the blanket of like an indoor place.
Right.
Or be in their little designated area. I don't know what that's called though, the name of it. But the backlash was so much that they had to open up it again to vendors. So thankfully that's happened,
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're looking for a family-oriented thing, I'm like, that was one of the best.
Yeah.
Why would you like anything nice happening downtown? It's like the city just wants to shoot it down, regardless whether it's what they're looking for or not.
Yeah. So more accessibility to more people is just like, I think should be a goal with like.
Sure.
That's how you can better serve the community, I think, is just make things open to more people.
Well, and like this weekend, I had the fullest weekend. I did so many things. And it kind of rolls in what you're saying. So I've kind of become, like I've been friends with them for a long time, but like there's Doug and Kristen at the Box Theater. You cannot talk about more advocates for the art community than those two people. They're theater mainly. Mm-hmm. Theater, improv, comedy. They've
performance
been
arts.
Performance arts. They've been. I don't know why I said performance arts. They have been doing the Box Theater in whatever incarnation for God. I don't even know.
I don't even know.
15
like
years, 20 years. I don't know.
I've noticed that place a long time ago.
So they've been doing this thing called Cardboard Playhouse for a long time. So Cardboard Playhouse is a theater group of children up into I think, adolescent through, I don't know how what age they cut him off at. And I've never actually gone to any of those performances because that always kind of seemed like it was more of a family thing and like thing for kids to go watch. Mm-hmm. So they set up, and this kind of goes where you're talking. They did one recently. They did Xanadu, which is a terrible movie from the 80s with Olivia Newton-John. Yeah, it's terrible. So they did
visually, it's amazing.
Tonight is the last performance, sadly. But like they decided to do Xanadu, and usually they do it all over there at the Box Theater on 2nd and Gold. Mm-hmm. Well, you cannot really do that there. And so they partnered with Electric Playhouse. Okay. And when they did that, I was like, well, that's intriguing. Because Electric Playhouse is this, if you don't live in Albuquerque, there's like one in Albuquerque, and I think there's one in Las Vegas. There's only two. So there are these interactive venues where you can go normally, family friendly, but they do have alcohol and food. But it's like, have you been there?
No. Okay. I have not.
So they use I've been there like 3 times. They have projectors, and in every room is like different projections, and they're interactive. For example, if you're in one of the rooms, you can play air hockey on the floor. Like the floor is air hockey, and when the puck comes to you, you like kick it with your foot, and it registers and does it. There's a room that has Space Invaders on the wall.
Oh wow!
And they have little dodgeballs, and you throw them to kill them on the wall.
Oh wow!
So that's
what Electric Playhouse is, right? So in the middle, they have this huge dance floor area. And they project on all the walls, and they project on the floor, and they'll have EDM DJs come in sometimes. So this is where they did Xanadu. Huh. So what was really cool about it is they brought all these tables and chairs in, and you paid, and then you went and sat, and you could eat, and then you could get a drink and all that. And they had very minimal sets because they didn't have to have them. So whatever room that they were talking about, whether it was they were talking about the theater and the movie, the walls, they had someone artistically draw what the scene was, and they projected them on the walls and the floor. Like at one moment, the kid was on the Santa Monica Pier. They made it look like the Santa Monica Pier on the floor, and he's like standing on the edge, and it was this really cool way to do a play that literally you're in the audience around the play.
So you feel like you're part of it.
Yes.
Kind of.
And like they're roller skating around in the middle, and like you're on the sides, like watching, and like behind you, you're in the room that they're in because the walls change. And like at one point they talk about, and if you watch the movie from the 80s, which it's not that great, there was a chalk mural on the wall. Well, they put that mural on one side, and all of the actors were like on the mural, like chalk drawings. So it was really cool to go and watch this interactive play.
That's cool.
And I was like, how fantastic. And I always hate when people are like, there's nothing to do. And I'm like, there's so many fucking things to do here.
And plus it's, a lot of that thrives based on the support of people that will actually participate.
Yes.
It's like a participatory thing.
Right.
And like when it comes to music venues, and we talked about local businesses,
right?
You have to support. Like so many times I would hear when I was like playing music around that, like, oh, nobody goes and listens to live bands,
right?
Or I'd hear that from the bands. They'd be like, oh, we're playing, and there's like 5 people in the audience. Well, we, in order to appreciate those bands, that's how you show appreciation, is by showing up.
Yeah.
Half of that. Same thing with going to see art in a gallery during an opening or something.
Right.
You got to go to the openings, to be able to say that you really support art. I mean, sometimes you can't, but at least every once in a while, like with live music or art, you got to go out and support it, or else that's what makes it stick around.
Well,
and that's why I love Night of Living cover bands.
Yes.
October is a crazy month. Because it's like every Friday and Saturday, if you love live music, there it is. Now, here's what's crazy. Friday night, I found out, was the most money they've ever made on a Night of Living cover bands.
I saw pictures, and I saw there was like crowds outside.
Yes.
Like wanting to get in.
It was insane.
And
I have like a handful of bands now that I have to go see. Mm-hmm. And I hate when people are like, I don't know any of the bands playing tonight, in a negative connotation. That's not negative. That's good.
Yeah.
Because now you have an opportunity to watch some band play 4 songs and impress you. Or you go, okay, didn't like that. One of the way or the other. But like, man, oh my gosh, Smiley.
Hey, buddy, you came here on the right night.
Dude, Friday night, our friend Simo laid down the best performance, in my opinion, I have ever seen at Night of Living cover bands.
Who did she do?
Lana Del Rey.
Oh, wow. I heard about this.
There's a lot of times where I'm like, I'll see a band play at Night of Living cover bands, and I'm like, well, now I have to go see them play as themselves. Simo was so good, I want to go listen to Lana Del Rey now. I was like, fuck me. Like, it was off the charts. And I'm like, you need to sing songs like that in your normal. And I'm not saying I don't like what she does, but she needs to add a couple songs like that, because it was mind-blowing how good it was.
Stop making me jealous, man.
I know, me too. I'm like, I wish I would have gone now.
I had to work, man.
I know. It was really, really fucking good. And then there was a band last night that did Bad Religion, and they murdered it. It was fantastic. Carlos and Lauren Poole, and it was like members of Youngsville and Prison Bitch did Night Ranger.
Oh darn! I wish I would have seen that.
And Carlos and those guys got the assignment. Lauren Poole looked like 80s chic, and Carlos looked it. They did well. It was fantastic. It was, but it's funny because like everyone's like, I don't know in Night Ranger, and then you're like, you will. You know, like one night we went and Billy's like, I don't know any songs by Bad Company, and I was like, Billy, you're going to know every song they sing. And he did. He was like, oh, he's like, oh, they do this one? I was like, yeah. You know, because they do the oh God, now I can't remember, but they do the one, don't you know that you are a shooting star?
Oh, yes.
And then, God dang it, what's the other one? Somebody will say it.
That was in the Kevin Smith movie, Clerks, the first Clerks movie. That's how I had got familiar with that song, because I heard it and then I looked up the soundtrack and I was like, oh, that's who sings that.
But there was some really, like, there was a band that did Vampire Weekend, and I think they were called Homebody. If I didn't, they sing the song She's Only 17. That's what Austin says. There was a band called Homebody that did Vampire Weekend, and if I didn't know what Vampire Weekend looked like, I would have thought that was Vampire Weekend. They were that good. They were so good at it. And I never even heard of them. And I was like, who is this? And everybody's like, I don't know. Like, no one knew who they were. Like, I don't know where they came from. I followed them immediately. Like, I didn't even follow them on Instagram. I was like, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah. And you know what I like also about Night of the Living cover bands is that you get bands that even kind of like that's their first gig.
Yeah.
Like my friends, they've played around together. The Fontels, have you heard of them?
Yes.
Mara Woody is never.
Yeah.
Like they've played in different various versions.
They're all
yes,
stars.
but this was their new. Yeah, they were kind of an all star. But there's also other bands that use that as like a beginning.
Yeah.
You know, they say.
Well, I mean,
started it.
Let's get meta.
Yes.
There was a band a couple years ago that did ABBA.
Okay.
And then they became an ABBA cover band out of that.
Yes, I know
called Albuquerque.
Yep.
And then last night they did Queen. Albuquerque as Queen. Like, what the fuck? Like, how meta is that? I didn't make it to that because I was just blown. I went to Mr. Gnome. They did a matinee show yesterday at Launchpad Mr. Gnome. Packed.
So, I almost went to that one.
Great show.
But
like, who else was there was another? Oh, Sorry Wedo on Friday did Michael Jackson. Now, I'm not a big metal screamy fan, but Sorry Wedo gets the assignment every time. All of them dressed as different Michael Jackson incarnations. They did the metal versions of all those songs that every fucking buddy knows. Dave Payne, Salt Cedar. Last night they did Elvis's, and they were all different incarnations of Elvis.
Oh darn! I missed that one.
I wanted to see that one.
Ben Levine was Karate Elvis.
Karate Elvis, so good.
It was so good.
That's hilarious. Karate Elvis.
I just don't get the whole my friends that are like, I don't go anymore. I don't know the band. I'm like, well, this is when you find them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
See, I personally don't go out very much. So like Night of the Living cover bands is usually the one time of year that I would go out a lot. Like I went to one at Low Spirits when it used to be there.
Yeah.
And that was when I first met Lauren because I don't know what, I think she may have been used to work there or something, but I went out and I was near the stage and some guy, had a little too much to drink.
What? And that doesn't sound like Low Spirits.
He was standing behind me and they had like glass cups that people could drink out of.
Oh yeah.
And the dude just he dropped it and like slammed it right behind. Lauren swoops in and she's big. So I was like tall. And so she comes in and she's like, I got you. And she like came between me and the guy because he was just getting really close, like super right behind me. Ooh. So that was like my first meeting with Lauren. I'm like, are you a superhero? And it's like, so after that, I've always like put her on a pedestal because I'm like, oh, you rescued me from flying glass.
It was Sacred 20s that did Bad Religion last night. Bad Religion with an upright bass.
Oh, wow.
Loved it.
That's awesome.
Loved it. The crowd was crazy. Then friends of ours, they called themselves Lady Majora, I think. And it's Maria and Alexis and all them that were what was their band called? Abort. Most of the members of that they did ZZ Top, right? Mm-hmm. I'm not a huge ZZ Top fan, but they came in and they looked like Maria had the curly hair and the mustache because she was the drummer, but the other three members literally had the like beanies and then the full on like beard, but the beards were not like shitty fake beards. It was like movie quality like beards.
Wow.
And like it took a little while. I was like, I didn't know it was not like Alexis. I was like, I don't know who that is. Like, that was crazy. They did really, really good on the costumes this year. Some of them were ridiculously amazing. Like you spent all day doing that, like, which I love.
That's my favorite part of it too, is because sometimes with certain bands, like dressing up is not their thing. Like they just get up there to play music, not for Night of the Living cover bands, but I mean in general.
Just in general.
So they don't have like almost like a theater presentation when they play. They just get out there and play. But I like when you mix like theater with music performance type thing.
Yeah.
Where like, so that Night of the Living cover bands, just like you have to, like it forces the band into not just playing music, but you got to get into it.
And then sometimes you see a great collab.
Yeah.
Like there was like, I was like, who are the Ordinary Cameras? And it was the Ordinary Things, and then the Red Light Cameras. It was two different bands merged together, and they did Iron Maiden.
Oh, cool.
And they fucking they showed up and shredded Iron Maiden. That was Friday night. I mean, there was some there. Yeah, man. Oh, yeah. What a great weekend.
Yep.
Like, I feel like I didn't rest at all. I'm going to go to work tomorrow and be like, but like.
Yeah, but we're near Halloween, so like there's always a lot going on,
Yeah.
Oh, always.
Exciting, but it's
October
fun.
in this town is busy.
Yes, but
it is.
It's something to look forward to, though.
Right.
It's like my favorite holiday, so
yeah,
I love it.
Is it? Like, are you dressing up? I mean,
oh yeah.
I mean, you're dressed up right now.
Yeah,
but I mean,
yeah. Well, I just like to. A lot of times, I like to throw together my own costume and like make my own thing. It's rather than being like a per se character or whatever. I just kind of like to create my own.
Right.
My own thing.
No, exactly.
I feel like.
By the way, I am not Corey Feldman.
No, you're not. Well, even though you look like him.
I don't know.
Are you sure about that?
If I show you what he asks for his autographs, you might change your mind. He asks for a lot.
Oh gosh.
Oh, I saw that. I saw that photo.
Yeah, $80 for.
It's about twice what most people ask.
Yeah, $80. But what I liked is like he asks more for his just regular signature than with a regular signature with a personal phrase. And someone goes, "Oh, that's so they can resell it." And I was like, "Okay, all right, I get it." Because all right. Because I've heard people that are like upset. They go to these cons and they're like, "I can't believe they're charging a bunch of money to get autograph, whatever. Well, that's because people resell it on eBay. And why can't they make some of that money if they're, why not?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and when I look at it from that perspective, now some of them I think ask a little too much, but you know what? If they do and a bunch of people pay for it.
Plus some, I look at it also like they may not currently be working and haven't worked for a while. And
A
that's
lot of
like
them don't, yeah.
the first signature I've ever sprung for, the only one so far, is Sergeant Slaughter. Have you heard of that dude? He's like an old.
Have
like,
I heard of
caricature.
Sergeant Slaughter? I have a Sergeant Slaughter story.
Yes.
Unfortunately, not a good one, but
No.
so and I mean, I don't know.
You might be.
I don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
So like he came to the Comic-Con the January 2 years ago, and I used to do the panels for all the wrestlers, and so I was like, oh cool, and it was like multiple people there, and they were like, and they told Sergeant Slaughter that he had to do it, and he said he wasn't going to, he wouldn't go do the panel, and I'm like, why wouldn't you go to the panel? And so they were like, yeah, Sergeant Slaughter said no. And they can kind of make them, but like sometimes they don't want to push it, which is fine. But what upset me is when the fans went up to him and said, hey, how come you're not doing a panel? He said that the people told him he couldn't. And I'm like, no, he
made up
bullshit.
that story
Yeah.
just for to make himself feel better about it. Oh,
Yeah.
darn.
And I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
I don't know. And I don't know.
And some of them are just there for
Yeah.
and there is some that are just there to make a buck,
Yeah. And if I ever do a panel, let me tell you people this. If you see that I've done a panel and you want to know if how they are behind the scenes, I'll tell you. I'll probably tell you on this show, but like if you want to come up and say, "Hey, how was such and such?" I'll absolutely tell you how they were. Only one person has ever been really, really awful. And I've been very vocal about who that was. But most of them are pretty nice. And I mean, the big thing about those events are they're tiring. Like you're there all day. I get tired. You're there all day and everybody gets grumpy and you get emotionally exhausted. Imagine you're meeting these people all day long and they're your fans and they all have a story to tell you. They all have something they want emotion out of you from something, like my, and some of it's kind of like rough. Like people will walk up. I've sat there like, and people walk up and they're like, my kid was on the verge of suicide. And, then he saw your movie and then it saved his life. That's a heavy shit, man. Yeah. It's interesting, but
yeah, they have, and it's like to always be on. I know you guys have talked about that before on other shows. Like when you're in some kind of celebrity or like public sphere, like to always, when you're in public, to always be, on is exhausting, you know?
Well, I mean, you do shows like you do like an art show.
Yeah.
It's exhausting.
At the end of it, I enjoy them, but like you said, like by the end of the night, I'm just like, I want to go home and decompress.
Yes, decompress is the good word. It's an interesting thing, and it's also great to like be like, because like I do that, and like people, I'll go out and everybody's like around me, but then I get to go out with my friends who are way more known than I am. And I get to watch them have to go through it. Yeah. And then I get to learn from what they do. And it's kind of neat. It's kind of interesting. Because like Smiley had never done it.
I'd never done a full con before.
And he got to see it,
Like I never done the whole traveling out there. And there's there's the pre, like everyone's getting set up. Everyone's the whole con's getting set up.
You got the perks though. The free, we didn't even have to buy tickets. We bought tickets,
but we bought tickets.
We shouldn't have, but
we bought tickets anyway.
Yeah, so we gave them away.
We gave them away.
Yeah.
Well, that was nice.
Yeah, of course.
Well, yeah. They were. We showed up and they're like, "And here's your passes." And I'm like, "Okay."
You were like,
you didn't get to go in the green room though.
I was invited a couple times, but I was every time people were like, "Oh, we're gonna go grab like some snacks in the green room." I would always get caught up in like some conversation.
Oh,
outside.
that green room was the best. Oh, it was so good. The food was ridiculous.
Have you ever been to San Diego Comic-Con?
I have not done San Diego.
I was in town when it was happening, and just the energy, because the museum is open to the public, because they have a Comic-Con museum.
Yeah.
So I was at the museum while the con was going on, because I couldn't get in. And but just everything there was just really interesting.
Yeah.
But I've heard complaints, too, about that it's more focused to the film industry than actual comic book. Well, I don't know, comic book.
All of them are.
My thing with comic book conventions, I really like them, and I like the dressing up part and all that. But sometimes we forget like the roots of where it started. It was to sell comics, like these little sellers or small man vendors. I mean, to like bring their stuff to sell.
Started in a basement.
And then sometimes when you go to these Comic Cons, it's no complaint. It just needs to be a little more balanced to where like you have actual comic books there to like look at, and
they
more
had
about
them at the Chronicon. They had.
Good.
They
good,
did.
good.
They had them. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds good.
They had vendors of all kinds at this one.
Yeah, and even though and it's a con. It's a convention based on a movie franchise, and there were still comic books there.
Well,
that's cool.
Here's what's kind of interesting, because I've done several around. The same the vendors actually travel. They go from one to the other. So like if you go to the one here, then the one in El Paso, and then the one in Houston, the same people are there. The same. I mean, there's some different ones, but a lot of the same ones are at, they travel too. It's like some of them, that's their profession.
Yep.
We met some friends there that are now friends with us. That's what they do. The people.
Oh, the first night at the Tiki Bar.
Yeah, and they go to those, and then they'll come over to like the celebrities, and they'll tell them like, hey, we've got this movie poster from your movie that you did.
Oh wow.
We've got like 100 of them. We'll throw you this much money. Will you sign them? And that's what they do for a living. And then they get them signed, and then they have them, and like some of them. Like they had a Mallrats poster, and it was signed by everyone in the movie.
Oh,
and it's taken them a long time to get those done. But every time they ran into somebody at Mallrats, they would look. That's their job. That's what they do for a living. So when they go to a con and somebody from Mallrats, they bring those Mallrats posters, and then once they have it completed, then they have them for sale. And you can buy a fucking Mallrats poster with every actor from the movie signed, and that's their business. Very crazy.
I mean, because that's a lot of work. I mean, I know people that would definitely throw down for that, because it's like having to find. That took them years, probably.
Yeah, to put it all together. Yeah, I like about cons too. Sometimes, even though it's not always comic book related, is to see like the vintage toys and stuff they come with.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, sometimes I fall for nostalgia bait, where
Sure.
it's like, oh, I saw that. I remember that from when I was smaller. And,
this whole room is nostalgia.
Yeah, so it's like, okay. But I like to go and see like toys from like old toys or action figures and things that they might have there.
Popples.
Which is cool, yeah.
Well, okay, so I want to answer this question. What's proper etiquette? This is Duke City Warrior. What's proper etiquette when meeting a celebrity than if they aren't in the right mood? Well, I mean, they're going to be in the right mood at the table. If they're an asshole at the table, then the right etiquette would be, I'm not going to give you any money and I'm going to walk away. Fuck you. Yep. That's really the right etiquette, honestly. So if they're at the
maybe not the F you at the end.
You're not going to, well, I don't know. Yeah, maybe not. But see, like, honestly, if you go to a con and you're meeting a celebrity and they're like at the table, I would be shocked at that. You're not going to see the meltdown. The meltdown happens in the back. It happens in the green room. There's a green room where they can kind of go and decompress, and they do. Now, the thing I don't understand about the Albuquerque one is they now do this thing where if you pay a certain VIP thing, you can be in the green room with them.
What?
And
is there a separate green room now?
And it freaks out. It freaks the guests, celebrity people out, because they're like, "What the fuck is happening here?" It does. It freaks them out, because like you have odd situations where they're in there and they're kind of like their little mask is off. Their little, they're being themselves.
Yeah.
And somebody's like, "Oh my God, you're my hero. And they're like, well, what the fuck is going on?
What kind of soup is this?
Well,
Who are you?
Yeah.
Yeah, you need that buffer too,
Yeah,
a little
it's
bit
weird,
to
yeah.
like be, you know what I mean, be out of character. You know, it's they say because.
But
it's
if you go to the table,
yes,
and somebody's a fucking absolute asshole to you, the etiquette is you don't need my money, fuck you. And they won't be. I can't imagine that being a thing. And if they are, they probably won't be back. And I've had the worst is I don't even know if I should say this, is when it's somebody that like isn't really big and they are I don't know. They asked me one time, they're like, hey, can you do a panel for this guy? And he was a writer. And I guess he's written some comic books that are coming out. They're not out yet. Or they may be out now. I don't know. And he was there. And they were like, can you do this panel? He wants to meet you first. And I go over to him and he was like, here's what I would like for you to say. And he was like giving me all these like prompts to ask, to act, for me to act. Like I would be like, so Stephanie, so isn't it true that you have this thing coming out in February? Like I was going to act like I knew all these things and he was prompting me to do that. And I was like, this is fucking weird.
Yeah, and I think people can see through that anyways.
Yes.
People are, smarter than that they're like, oh, this is just so fake. You can tell when people are like when things are staged.
Yeah. Well,
when they're like not.
It reminds me of back in the day, like radio would do this shit, like where I think there was a Roseanne Barr one. Like they would send like a one-sided conversation from Roseanne Barr to the radio station, recorded. And then the DJ would record literally as his part as if they were like interviewing. And it was very clear. They did this a number of times like on radio. And I would every time I'd be like, do people really think this is real? And it would always be kind of like infomercially. And I felt like that. And luckily they pulled me off of it. I think they canceled this thing. Because I don't think anyone was going to show up to it because like they don't know who you are. Like I don't really feel good about and like the people who asked me to do it, I love them, so I was kind of like all right, but I didn't like it. And I was like, sounds like you want me to go and do a fucking infomercial, really?
Yeah.
So
you're supposed to get an actor to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give me my script. I know what to do with this situation.
Oh, so is it true? You have tell us about the main character, Johnny. Like I know anything about it. Like they were literally giving me like this.
You asked the wrong person to do that job.
Yeah.
See, that's part of what I like about this show is that it's not scripted too.
No.
I like how it's organic, that it just goes in like whatever direction it's going to grow,
Right.
and I like that about things because then you get to like the heart of things rather
Right.
than just putting on a presentation, it's like the real meat and bones of
Yeah.
it.
I almost never know who's going to be on the show.
He almost never does.
Yeah, it's a surprise.
Because
each time.
he's Smiley. This is the weirdest thing to me, and I've been thinking of this a lot. I'm thinking of doing it for him. Of all the people to not be on Instagram, Smiley is the one. He does Facebook, but he doesn't do Instagram, which is weird to me because Smiley is a very visual guy. He likes the way his look is. He worries about what he looks like when he leaves the house, which to me seems like the perfect candidate for Instagram.
Yeah.
Like he could probably be an influencer, but
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I didn't even get a Facebook account until my friend made one for me. I was like, I guess I have this now. Just tell me what my password is.
Yeah, sometimes like social media is a double-edged sword, like it have good and bad parts.
Sure.
And almost like you said about promoting when you were talking about earlier, like you have to be able to promote yourself, especially as like an artist or performer. Nowadays it's almost become like you have to, it's like
to.
I've been
that's
told
the
that.
way to like promote yourself.
Yeah. Right.
Self-promote.
Self-promotion,
Yeah.
Right.
Instagram's the way, and I should have one, but I have never gotten around to it.
Yeah.
Lazy.
Yeah,
I will take that one, actually, yeah. Usually I don't take that, but I'm like, that's, you know what? That's honestly just out of.
Yeah, you can promote without it, but it's just a lot harder.
Okay, but think about this. How much better is it that as an artist nowadays, it exists? Because I remember back in the day, people making posters.
Yep.
Putting them up all over, whether it was an art gallery show or whether it was you talk about people not being in the know, way worse back in the day.
Yep.
Like, I remember people would walk around and put, it was expensive. First of all, it cost you money. Mm-hmm. You'd have to go to...
half the people at the Kinko's would be there, like, printing out flyers.
Kinko's,
Flyers, yeah.
And like, people can shit on social media, and I get it. I get what but like, as an artist, what a better way to do things. Because you don't, number one, it doesn't cost you anything.
There's less trees
Yeah.
involved.
Yeah.
What I like about it too is like the event pages, because it can give you like reminders and things like that. And you can see it like on the side to remind you. Like back when they just had flyers and stuff, especially if somebody just put up one, it's, you'd have to remember it. Like, how would you remember later what was going to happen when? Just like write this down.
I have boxes full of flyers.
Yeah.
I saved all of them.
You just took them. Yeah. You're not supposed to take those flyers. You're supposed to leave them up for other people
No,
to see.
the flyers, not the posters.
The post. Okay, just the regular flyers.
But I have boxes full of those. Like every flyer I've ever gotten is like saved in a shoebox in my
that's
closet.
cool though. You
There's,
could
like,
start
so
a
many.
museum then of those.
No kidding.
The Smiley Museum.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
The Smiley Museum of Flyers.
I bet there's a lot of bands that would probably love to see some of that shit, too.
Yeah.
I have old pens. I have all that stuff.
Old pens.
No, like a pen, like a button.
Oh, yeah. Dude, you should do that.
That
I
reminds
have a
me.
bucket of them.
When I first met Marty at Bow Wow, he was in Flake, right? Their first thing.
Yep.
And he was always asking me, promoting their shows that they were going to be doing locally, and he would like hand me a flyer and things. Oh, come see my band. And I regret now I never saved one of those.
I have
I'm like, darn.
They reissued their record, and I have it. I have the record and I have the T-shirt.
But because I had some of those flyers, that he had handed out and was like, "Hey, come see Flake," and I was like, "Darn it!"
So I hit him up yesterday, and I was like, "Oh, hey, I volunteered you for Night of Living cover bands for next year," and he goes, "Oh, Christ, what have you got me into?" And I was like, "Well, I was sitting with Nate Santamaria and Billy, and I decided that." And Nate and Billy seem to be on board that you three are going to do Neutral Milk Hotel next year.
Oh, that would be great, though.
And he goes, I don't hate that idea.
That would be a great idea. Now that I would go see, definitely.
And he's like, I don't hate that idea. And
I would go see that.
I was like, well, anyway, I went ahead and told Barney.
Yeah, you should. They got to do it. They got to do it now, see? The pressure is on.
That's what was... Okay. I hung out with Nate the other night.
Yeah.
That's what he was talking about. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
I think they would be fantastic.
Has Marty ever done Night of the Living cover bands before?
Oh, yeah. He did it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Yeah, they were Joy Division.
Oh, yes. I think I saw pictures of that. That would be
and then, I mean, him and Josh, they've done... they did 1 year, him, Stu, and Josh did... what's that band? Oh, I can't think of it. Oh, gosh. Yeah, the dude's always smoking. Oh, what is his name? And he threw a no-hitter. What is his name? It'll come to me after the show. I know exactly. And I've seen him do many shows.
Yeah.
He just doesn't play as much anymore. And I think he's going to.
good.
So
That'll be good to see.
I talked to him a little bit. I think he's
Good.
yeah. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I like how I'm hearing about this like through the grapevine, and it was just Chris all, I don't play music, but I think you guys...
Here's what I think should happen.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna volunteer you.
go
I'm
ahead
gonna
and let 'em
volunteer.
Let's just get this going. I'm tired of waiting. I'm tired of this. Get to it.
I was gonna tell him because I know he's a Lego fan.
Oh yeah.
That there's a call for art coming up at El Chante. Have you heard of them?
No.
They're like kind of up what's that street? 8th and Central, like right there where that turnabout is.
Okay.
They're to your right. Well, their call for art is a New Mexico themed piece made out of Legos.
Wait a minute. So like they're at the roundabout.
Yeah, they're true. Okay, do you know where Downtown Books is?
Yes.
Yes.
It's the house right before it. It looks like a house.
Where those row houses are.
Yes, it looks like a house from the
Okay.
outside. But they're having a Lego themed art show.
Mm.
Well, it's New
Really?
Mexico like culture, but you make your pieces out of Legos.
Okay.
And I know Marty's a Lego fan, so I was like, hey, tell him you should make like a piece to go in that show.
I'll tell him.
Because
I'll be like, hey,
he is the Lego guy.
dance for me, monkey.
Yes.
Get to work.
He's the Lego guy.
Do that, but, I'll tell him. I mean, if anything, he can go to it. I mean, Lego shows are, that's kind of becoming a thing. Like,
I want to know more about this. I will contact them. I have so many Legos.
Oh yeah. Legos never get old. You never outgrow them.
Oh, they're more popular now than they've ever been.
It's obnoxious. They got all expensive.
Yeah, they are.
I thought they were expensive when I was a kid.
No, don't get rid of them, because sometimes there's like they increase in value, like certain figures and things like that.
Oh yeah, I know.
Well,
in my heart they do.
I think
in my heart.
I think they've changed the blocks too, the material.
Oh yeah.
If they haven't, they're going to. I know they're going to make them into like a more environmentally.
Yes, they already did that.
They already did that.
Yeah.
Okay.
They had to discontinue some of the colors because it didn't work with the new. With the new mix, yeah, that already happened. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
The transition went like, why is this yellow not the same as this yellow? Well, this one's not going to kill the environment. I like this one better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. So I just thought that's a great idea for an art show.
Sure.
Because it's a different medium that most people don't dabble into or think of, even associate with, like making your own art piece with. You know what I mean? So it's like, I thought that was a cool idea for a show.
I've got to pick up a baby.
When I was a kid, like I grew up here.
Yeah.
Right. So, here in Arkansas, but I liked here more. And
interesting.
Most of my Legos were making like stucco buildings.
Oh, cool.
Like,
yeah, that's cool.
So like I have a whole like ice chest just full of Legos for making dioramas of like New Mexico. I was like, oh really? I probably have like a few I could.
What's a diorama?
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah. I could talk about a lot about Legos. But
yeah.
Because I like the fact that they're like a hands-on thing, and there's not a lot of that nowadays where like you actually move around and do stuff. It's all like on a screen usually.
Board games are great too.
Yeah, I love board games.
You get that tactile, like I actually have something in my hand.
You would think board games would be on their way out. Bigger than ever.
That's great. I like
bigger
that.
than like I'm at work and like the people I work with are just like talking about all the different board games, and they're like, "Yeah, I paid $140 for that one." I was like, "Jesus Christ, for a board game?"
I think that was a lot of that is due to the pandemic, because after the pandemic, people wanted, I don't know, they seem to want more hands-on things, like
tactile.
Even with toys, like kids' toys, like they really went the route of like. The kids just play video games, which I'm not knocking, but like there was like toys.
Everyone gets bored of this after a while.
Yeah.
Toys R Us even closed, and it's like a lot of toy stores went the way of like KB Toys.
But I think they're coming
back.
Yeah.
They're coming back, which I like to see that.
Yeah.
I think it's an important part of,
growing up.
A different way to do.
Yeah, can you imagine? Not even
toys. Never have touched a toy. There's a lot of kids that have not, which is sad.
Right.
But...
Yeah. All right. Cool. Well, I think we've come to the end of this journey today. We've gone a long way around.
Yes.
And Brody's excited for the end. She's up here on my lap. She's like, "Are we done with this? I want to bark at the lady." I want to thank you for making this amazing painting of me.
Yes.
I love it. By the way.
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out, like, it's got to go somewhere in this area here.
Yeah, find a good spot.
So Smiley has to look at it at all times. How do I may build a wall in front of him and put it right there.
That makes sense. Yeah, I'm sure that's what's going to happen eventually. It'll be like the Tom Green show, and it's just me like sticking out. Hey Chris.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Yeah.
It's beautiful. Thank you so much for doing it. I greatly appreciate it.
Yeah, I love
and you have art shows coming up, you said?
Yes. I have that show, solo show at OT Circus.
Yep.
That's going to be during Art Walk, which is, I think November 7th is what the date of Art Walk this time. And, yeah, and then that show Friday at HomeWise.
Okay. Yeah. I forgot. I have Thursday nights. Is Thursday night Halloween?
Thursday is Halloween.
Yes. Yeah. Thursday night I will be judging a competition at Echoes Brewing downtown. They are giving $1,000 to the band that wins the contest. I don't really know the rules. I mean, I know they sent them to me. I haven't read them yet. But yeah, Thursday night I will be judging. I'll be judging people like I do because that's what I do. I judge people. I judge you. When I see you in public, I'm judging you.
He's gonna bring his judgy dog too.
Judgment. Well, no, I won't bring the judge. No, she doesn't handle public too well.
I was kidding.
I know. But Thursday night. But it's second Saturday, November 9th. Come out to Second and Gold, Dry Heat Comedy for Almost AAA Cabaret. That's going to be fantastic. The return of Chris. The return of Chris. So exciting. And Sarah. Sarah was also gone.
Yeah,
Sarah
I heard that
also
too, yeah.
So they had Rusty in a wig fill in. So, yeah. So our judgment will be back. People have missed our judgment.
I'm sure they did.
I feel it. You know.
They're like, I feel...
Chris,
I feel like I needed more judgment.
My judgment, your judgment is missing in my life. I had people tell me that. No, they didn't. And then November, did I say the night before Thanksgiving, 21st, we will be Duke City Championship Wrestling out at the Rio Rancho Event Center. Get your tickets. That will be a big one, man. Big show. Really big show. I got to do Ed Sullivan. I got to do Ed Sullivan for Night 11 Cover Bands. I got to bring up Little Bobby and as the Dave Clark 5.
Wow.
So a lot of response. People were like, man, like people's parents told my friends, they're like, your friend Chris was Ed Sullivan. And my friend was like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you guys don't support me. And I cried.
Are you sure this didn't know who Ed Sullivan was?
I know. I was just going to say that.
My friends did. Yeah.
Okay.
I was just going to say
they're my
that.
age.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair.
If you're my age, you know who Ed
Some
Sullivan
of my
was.
friends probably wouldn't have.
Okay.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, your friend's like 20. So
like I said, some of my friends might not know who that is.
Gross. Smiley.
Millennials, am I right?
All right. Well, thank you, Stephanie Galloway, for coming on. Thank you, Smiley.
Thanks.
Thank you, Brody, for somewhat keeping quiet.
Aw.
Thank you, fans, for watching the show. And with that, we are 10 drink minimum.
minimum.
Oh.